I'll die young.
Oh gosh.
So by the time I become very old, I have a young heart.
Is that so? We are waiting for that to kick
Please
in.
do, please
Right
do.
now, though, let's say big thanks to GCB, your bank for life, Vodafone, Together We Can, and Latex Foam, your partner for life, for bringing us big stories.
Okay, so before we get into the big stories, we have to say a big thank you also to Consolidated Bank Ghana, CBG. We stand with you for bringing us the Joy Business Minute, and CBG, your trusted bank, is standing with you. And so all our branches are opened and poised to serve you as we enforce all safety directives of both our staff and you, our cherished customers. Walk into any of our branches, experience first-class customer service. You may alternatively use our ATMs and electronic platforms, including our USSD star 924 hash to get digi with it to conveniently perform banking transactions anywhere and anytime. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at CBG Bank Limited. For further inquiries, call 0302 216 000. CBG, we stand with you.
Right now, of course, we talked about big stories brought to us by GCB, your bank for life, and Vodafone, Together We Can, as well as Latex Foam, your partner for life. Now, there's an energy inside us all that makes art and music, that pushes science, that overcomes obstacles, that cures diseases, and overcomes I've said that already. Overcomes prejudice, right? This is the energy that gives us the strength to ask important questions from humankind, the planet, and our society, so that we can discover what is best. Now, when this force is combined with technology, then man and technology together can achieve anything and create a better future for all. Technology is nothing without humanity. Together with technology, we can do anything. Learn more at vodafone.com/together we can. Vodafone, together we can.
Well, if you're looking for a one-seater, two-seaters, or maybe three-seaters, or L-shaped sofa crafted to the finest details and available in various colors for your home, office, or hotel, if you're looking for comfortability, durability, quality, and that perfect finishing, then look no further, because Latest Foam is your one-stop shop destination, whatever your choice and budget. Latest Foam is your partner for life.
It's Friday!
Absolutely is. Hold up, wait a minute. DSTV get all 51 Euro 2020 games live and in HD and with expert analysis. From Friday, the 11th of June to Sunday, the 11th of July, watch Sergio Busquets, Ronaldo, Harry Kane, and Mbappe as they battle it out to be crowned the kings of Europe. And this happening at the Euro 2020s. It's anyone's game, and it's available on all DSTV packages. Get connected for 229 Ghana cedis for a fully installed Zapper and 1 month's access subscription, or just watch it on the DSTV app. DSTV, feel every moment. Terms and conditions apply. Okay, so today is the 4th of June, and some years back this would have been a holiday.
Yes, some years back it would have, but from the late 90s, I think 2000s was no longer a holiday. But the most important thing is that the June 4th revolution at the time when it was, staged, led us into an era where we said we were no longer going to have coup d'etats in the country again. Now, that was the time that junior officers of the Ghana Armed Forces staged this coup, and it was to do a bit of cleansing within the military to ensure that nobody would ever stage a coup again. There are lots of lessons to have been learned from the June 4th revolution. We'll talk about some of them briefly, but of course, if there was anything at the time, it showed us that when the people are fed up, they will react. And in reacting, they talked about the probity, accountability, transparency, because many of those persons who had ruled right from 1966 to 1969 when we returned to constitutional rule, and then from 1972 when General Achampong took over to 1979 when General Akufu was overthrown by Jerry Rawlings and his group, were not largely accountable to the people. And so these persons felt they were supposed to do that. In the past, we would probably have been asking ourselves the question, whether we have learned anything from June 4th. Sadly, this is the first June 4th that would not have, Jerry John Rawlings in attendance because he passed on last year. But if there's one thing that we must learn from June 4th, I have said that it tells you that when you're put in office, you're to serve the interest of the people. The way the Ghanaian population at the time, and look, when it comes to June 4th, historically, you've had a lot of Ghanaians defending June 4th. They've had their problems with 31st December because June 4th was supposed to end all military juntas or coup d'etats.
31st December really should not have happened.
Shouldn't have happened. So it tells you, when it comes to June 4th, you had lots of comment, students getting involved and all of that, talking about a lot of Ghanaians at the time.
Yeah.
And so it tells you that when the people are unhappy with you, they'll get you out.
Now, former President Rawlings, the late President Rawlings, and I talked a lot about June 4. I actually did a little bit of work on his autobiography at the beginning stages, and we talked a lot about it. One of the things that he demonstrated when he narrated the events is that it's very cinematic, like very dramatic, the events that led to this coup, and then on the day of the coup, the things that happened and how things unfolded. I wonder why filmmakers haven't decided yet to do something about some of these moments in our history, because they make for amazing storytelling. And everybody needs to know these stories because they have shaped where we are today. But of course, when we have the opportunity, we'll talk a bit more about these and other events. Right now, though, it's time for some messages from our partners, after which we get into our big stories. Stay with us.
Hello. Oh, Charlie, how be? Bro, I need some help. Right, my money all finished. And month no end, so I make hot pass. I feel see some small loan for a side, I beg.
Oh, bro, Charlie, I make hot pass you. My landlord today can't take your rent.
Oh, Charlie. All right, you make a call another person.
Hello. Oh, Charlie, I need some help. Right, my money all finished. And month no end, so I make hot pass. So you see, I feel,
The number you are trying to reach is not available. Please call back later.
Hey, Adane.
Kelvin.
Yes.
You make hot.
Charlie, rough.
So make today payday with Cowbank Salary Advance. Get an advance of up to 80% of your net monthly salary before payday. Just visit the nearest Cowbank branch, or you can call our toll-free number on 0800 500 500 to find out how you can apply today.
Cowbank, forward together.
Come here.
Charlie, right now, dear, the printing business slow. Power problems every day. I'm not able to meet client demand, and it's a big worry.
Charlie.
But Charlie, you actually bought that heavy generator as a backup power. Business is good for you.
Thank you, bro, but I didn't buy it. I rented it.
Sir, away.
From the Generator Express, of course, Anointed Electrical Engineering Services has added rentals to their wonderful services.
So you mean, apart from the sale of quality generators and spare parts with their impeccable 24/7 after-sales maintenance and services, they also do rentals?
Exacto, man. Anointed has a wide range of generators from 5 to 1,000 kVA ready for rentals, my bro.
I see. They are still at number 77 Anointed House off the Odokomalam Road in Accra, right?
And in Kumasi, Anointed is in the city-style building in Amakum near Ashefem. And all Anointed branches across the country are still operating. Call their hotline 0243 480 334. Anointed Electrical Engineering Services. Still the generator experts.
Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, in partnership with KPMG and Joy Business, is organizing the Chamber CEO Business Forum under the theme Redefining Business Success, the Path for Business Value, Resilience and Sustainability. The President of the Chamber, Mr. Clement Osei Amwako, will host Mr. Kofi Frimpong Kori, partner KPMG, Dr. Samuel Frimpong Boateng, CEO, CITI Africa, Mr. David Ofosu-Dorte, Senior Partner, AB and David, Mr. Ambadeep Singh Harry, CEO, IPMC, Madame Salma Salifu, Managing Director, Dignity DTRT, Dr. Daniel Macaulay, CEO, Magdan Group, and Madame Theresa Yamsing, CEO, Phyto Rika Gihok Pharmaceuticals Limited. The Minister of Trade and Industry, Honorable Alan Tremontaine, is the special guest of honor. The event comes off on Wednesday, 23rd June 2021 at 9 a.m. Venue is the Accra Marriott Hotel, Airport City. Participation is strictly by invitation.
It's the most action-packed breakfast show in town. The hottest music, the best giveaways, the great interviews, and all the laughter and fun you can imagine. Don't miss It's the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. It's the best breakfast show in town.
Ladies and gentlemen, June 4th, 1979 and 31st December 1981 were not about individuals for a small group of people, or rather a small group of people. They came about as a result of a deterioration of all that Ghana stood for. The freedom and justice that we so proudly tout as our national motto had been lost on us. The house cleaning exercise that occurred in 1979 led to many sacrifices. Sacrifices that today some choose to distort for their selfish political ends.
Hearing his voice, man, I miss the guy. But of course, people were divided on his legacy, and that will always be the case. But indeed, he made a mark on our history.
Yes, he did.
Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings.
But because you haven't talked about June 4th briefly, there's another issue I want to touch on briefly before we get into our editors' forum. It has to do with the funeral of Sir John. I don't know if you've seen the videos from that particular funeral.
I have.
And you'd ask yourself that simple question: what happened to COVID-19 protocols? What happened to the wearing of masks? What happened to private burials? We were told we should engage in private burials with 25 people maximum. What happened to that? Funerals banned, weddings banned. And it becomes even more important when you have government officials, including the president and vice president of the country, at that event.
I don't know. So now, can the police go and stop any gathering anywhere in this country? Does the government, does the state have the moral high ground to go and enforce this law anywhere? What are we doing to ourselves? It really troubles me, okay? The last thing you want to... In fact, in a democracy, in a republic, our last line of defense of the law is the president. Let everybody in the country break the law. The president must be the last man standing to guard the law from being violated. That's his primary role. The rule of law, it has no leg to stand on if the president is not guarding it to ensure that, it cannot be broken or violated. Our whole way of life circles around this premise that the law is supreme. And it is not, they are not COVID-19 protocols. They are laws, executive instruments passed by the president himself. How can we observe this? How can we allow this to stand? Hundreds of people. And let me ask you this. What did Sir John die of?
Of COVID.
COVID. So what are the regulations around a person who dies of COVID? Should the body even be made available to the families? Why are we doing this? There are people whose loved ones have died, and they were unable to mourn them properly because of these. But it's been one of those months. So much has happened. So it's right for us to get together and do a bit of a review of it. Get the stories behind the stories of all the big things that happened this month. From Fix the Country to Caleb Kuda's assault and battery. To free SHS and the feedback session that was, seen by the president as an attack on free SHS. From that to the road minister's declarations and announcements, and so much more. So let's say good morning to our guests. I'm very excited to have them indeed. Evans Mensah, of course, is the head of our politics desk here at Joy News. Philippos Ebonsu, OB, is the host of Ekusi Saying, award-winning show on Asempa FM. And we're also joined by Shamima Muslim. Shamima is seriously one of my favorite people in this country. She, of course, is a seasoned journalist. She's with the group ALMA, and they represent women in the media space. Good morning to all three of you. Thank you so much for your time.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Kojo. It's a pleasure to be joining you.
The pleasure is all ours, Shamima and Obi. And Evans, and you know what? I'm going to start with you, Evans, because it's been one of those months, right? We'll start with Fix the Country, I guess, because it was one of those things that came out of nowhere and sparked quite a lot of controversy. But before that, Sir John's funeral, thoughts?
I mean, the Sir John's funeral, it's a black and white issue, really, for me. The protocols are there. You've touched on it.
That law is then enforced by the police. People are arrested, prosecuted, some of them fined, jailed, convicted for breaking these laws. Then the president himself attends an event where all these laws are broken. Should he be apologizing to the people of Ghana?
He should, shouldn't he? Kojo, but I think that this is a classic representation of all that is wrong with our country. That, the am I on mute?
Yes, we can see and hear you clearly.
You are not supposed to see.
Oh well, we caught a glimpse, Shamima. Keep going.
All right. So the point is that I was saying that this is what is exactly wrong with our country, that it seems not all men are equal, and some are indeed above the law. And like you have rightly said, for the president to have been part of a funeral that broke every protocol at a time when we're really not out of the woods yet, it shows the non-commitment of our leaders to actually moving us all in the right direction. Because good example is key to getting citizens to also follow. But if all around we see our leaders break these protocols, what it tells us is that perhaps the situation is not as serious as we are being made to believe. And so the inconvenience is not worth it. So let us go on about our everyday life as normal as possible. So it's a bit of a big disappointment that this happened. But I'm not surprised. I mean, the way that the funeral had kept long, Sir John is a very wonderful man, God bless him. But the way that it was delayed was exactly because they wanted a big fanfare, as we saw. And so they couldn't delay it any further. They were about to go ahead and they were going to have it in the fanfare that they had anticipated they would have it. And I'm sure that nobody is going to pay any price at all for this big violation of our own laid down rules and regulations. Very disappointing, actually, to say the least.
Obi, so it was just on the 31st of May, just on Monday, that these executive instruments were extended by his own hand. And then, 3 days later, this happens? I'm even interested in how those who have been arrested and prosecuted under these laws will be feeling right now, observing what happened at this funeral.
Yeah, Kojo, I was shocked myself when I saw. I had the benefit of seeing the live videos from our reporters on the ground. So we picked Nasayam Pofweje, who reported for us live from the ground. So I had the benefit of seeing the live videos. And I was shocked. So it was the first question I asked him, that were the COVID-19 protocols really followed? You know, as far to manipulate. So there seemed to be a distinction between funerals and private burials. So the numerical limitation Evans spoke about was with respect to private burials, you know. So if you look at the brochure for the event, the brochure says with respect to, you know, his interment, there would be a private burial, but then the funeral itself is left for every other person to also attend. And that's why I think we would have to look at how we sometimes frame our laws, the wording of the laws. It's very, very important. So for the person who would want to litigate and stretch issues, the person would say, okay, so for the burial itself, it was a private burial. I mean, 25 people attended that private burial. How about the funeral?
But Obi,
does the numerical limitation extend to the funeral?
Forgive me, Obi, but according to the law, my understanding is that funerals are banned. Funerals are banned. It's only private burials that can have 25 people. That's the wording of the executive.
It makes the case even worse. So if funerals are banned, then we need not even have a conversation around funerals. It shouldn't happen in the first place. So if it's to be limited to private burials, then why are we even having funerals all over the place? So I think the police would have to act. His Excellency the President, who attended or who participated in this funeral, also has some questions to answer. Not him alone, the Vice President, all other government officials. Because if funerals are banned, then we don't even have to be having this conversation. It should be limited to just private funerals. And let's face it, I mean, across the length and breadth of the country, you find people traveling weekends to funerals and all of that. So yes, and this will not be the first funeral the president will be attending. And I think we should have a proper conversation around it. If we think the laws are no longer fit for purpose, because yes, we would want to relax the laws and all of that, let's amend them and have something that would properly fit the situation we are in currently. Well, we cannot have laws on our books and be abusing them in such, with such impunity. It doesn't speak well of us.
I'm going to read...
and could you, whilst we've been talking, I've just been looking at the videos. And apart from the fact that there's an obvious breach and disregard for the executive instrument, there is also a very blatant disregard for the basic wearing of face mask. And because earlier when I was speaking, I had not seen the videos.
Yeah.
Whilst we were talking, I've tried to look for it. People are simply not wearing face masks. They are cramped up together. There's drumming, there's screaming. It's just one of those super spreader events. And to think that the commander-in-chief, the vice, were all part of this, it's just unacceptable.
Honestly, I don't know how they are going to actually explain this away. This is what the law says, by the way, just to put it on record. And this is the executive instrument I'm reading from. And it starts by saying, now therefore in exercise of the power conferred on the president under subsection 1 of section 2 of the Imposition of Restrictions Act 2020. By the way, another law that was passed recently because of COVID-19, the Imposition of Restrictions Act. Okay, Act 1012. This instrument is made on this day, and then it goes on, and it says imposition of restrictions. There is imposed by this instrument restrictions on public gatherings, including beaches, festivals, pubs and bars, including hotel bars, weddings, funerals, concerts and theatrical performances, parties, cinemas and movie houses, nightclubs, large political gatherings and rallies, and large religious gatherings such as crusades, pilgrimages, and conventions. And then it says, all public gatherings set out in paragraph 1, which is the one I just read, are suspended. Those are the words, suspended.
So it makes it worse. It makes it worse, really.
This is very clear.
From the reading of the law itself, it really makes it worse. And as I've said, if we think we've gotten to the point where we can no longer abide by these regulations, let's amend them. Well, we cannot have them in our statute, and this is an executive instrument, and have the president of the republic, the vice president of the republic, abusing these. It's not proper. It's just not proper.
Well, so Kojo, it actually comes with. These things are just not, laws put in our books, and that's the end of it. If you go contrary to the laws, you're arrested and dealt with. And the question you want to ask yourself this morning is, can the police prevent other Ghanaians from engaging in these activities now that the president, vice president, and other government officials have engaged in it? There were policemen at the funeral of Sir John, mind you. Okay. I think Obi said the president has to apologize to the nation, may have to apologize to the nation. I think in the next address that the president has concerning COVID-19, he has to address this particular issue. The reasons why they defied the law and went for a funeral when people have had to bury their relatives without organizing funerals, and in some instances incur the wrath of family members because they would have loved to be there for the funeral, and they would have also loved to be at a cemetery for burial.
Yeah.
We cannot pass laws and not adhere to the laws in the name of someone's position. This is not a case of some men are more equal. And the person who actually initiated the passage of the law should be the first person adhering to the provisions of the law.
How can you pass a law and then break it? As a president, how can you do that? And by the way, to read the exception as well, just so that we are fully, clothed here. It says, despite paragraph 1.1, which is the list that I read, private burial, and E in that list is funerals. Point number E in that list is funerals. So despite paragraph 1.1e, private burials may be carried out with not more than 25 persons in attendance who shall adhere strictly to all protocols against COVID-19 issued by government, which means you'd better be wearing a mask.
Yes.
And you'd better be 25 people. Not what we saw in those videos. And here's the worst part. The worst part for me is that Sir John, sadly, another, by the way, a great, great guy. I loved Sir John. He died of COVID-19. And there are protocols around what should be done if your loved one dies of COVID-19. You don't get the body. And there's a reason for this. But we saw videos of people filing past the body of Sir John. What are we doing? Let's move on. We've had a month in which national security has made the news over and over again for all the wrong reasons.
But it's on the beating him like, oh, I'm gonna make a cry. But they was just so slapping me from the back. You be talking to another one, and someone will just come and slap you from the back, and you feel dizzy at once. And it's like, it was so fast.
In that same
space.
At this point, had they handcuffed you?
At this point, they had handcuffed me, and every now and again, one will come and press it harder so that I feel the head. I was so thirsty. One guy came in, he was like, oh, Caleb, then he got me water. Even drinking the water was difficult.
Because of the way the handcuff was.
On the 11th of this month, at about 5 p.m., I was in the office with my secretary when a group of 7 young men came to the office and said that the National Security Coordinator has asked them to bring me to Accra. I told them I wasn't going to go to Accra with them. They should go. I will be there myself the next day. They said no. Then they started struggling with me and they handcuffed me. And when they did that, we were struggling. And I said, I won't go. My wife is in Accra. She's come back to me in Kumasi. I can't leave her in Kumasi and go to Accra. They asked of the vehicle that I was using, and I said the vehicle was at home. And so my boys brought the vehicle. So when they brought the vehicle, they wanted us to go down. I said I won't go. Then we started struggling again. And I told them that I wanted to go and urinate. And one of them followed me and said, and I asked why he was following me and said, oh, but we are all men.
Well, as I speak to you, I did some checks. Thursday, 27th May, was the final day I did a check. I don't know about what has happened yesterday or today. The Armed Forces does not have a formal report from the Ministry of National Security to the effect that this is the investigation. This is the investigative report. This is a recommendation. The Army would trigger an investigation based on the Code of Service Discipline. Code of Service Discipline. And that report, if indeed is available to them, will outline the omissions and commissions that the officer was supposed to have committed.
That's the sound of the police. That's the sound of the beast.
Yeah. This is the state of affairs that we've observed with the national security in the month of May. I want to start with Shamima. I know you've already spoken on some platforms about what happened to Caleb, but there seems to be a larger problem here, a wider problem of these instances. There was also this Asankrigwa, right? Raid on a casino, some parts of which were captured on CCTV and are still the source of controversy. Also, again, involving national security. I'm going to let you have a bite on this one before the gents come in.
Right. Thank you very much. And perhaps just to set the frame for all of us this morning, I would like to, start with the words of our national anthem I think that this program is an invitation for all of us, stakeholders, media, civil society, government, to do these periodic reflections on where we are on this journey towards self-actualization. And if you go back to our national anthem, God bless our homeland Ghana, make our nation great and strong, bold to defend forever the cause of freedom and of right. Fill our hearts with true humility, that when we are wrong, we concede, I add. Make us cherish fearless and honesty, and help us to resist oppressors' rule with all our will and might forevermore. Kojo and Winston, let me also add, a lot of the times I think we hardly ever go back to the preamble of our 1992 Constitution, which reads, and allow me to quote, that the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, in the name of the Almighty God, we the people of Ghana, in exercise of our natural and inalienable right to establish a framework of government which shall secure for ourselves and posterity the blessings of liberty, equality of opportunity, and prosperity, in a spirit of friendship and peace with all peoples of the world, and in solemn declaration and affirmation of our commitment to freedom, justice, probity, and accountability. The principle that all powers of government spring from the sovereign will of the people. The principle of universal adult suffrage, the rule of law, the protection and preservation of fundamental human rights, and the freedoms, unity, and stability for our nation, do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this Constitution. Thank you. So back to your question. When we are faced with some of these challenges, you see, there's got to be a certain objective measure on progress. We cannot continue to have subjective views on how we are progressing as a nation when we have a benchmark to measure this progress by. This is what we ourselves have said to be the guiding principles for us as a nation. Earlier on, you people were speaking about a national development plan from which no party should depart from, except to say that the contest should be about superior strategies that will lead us into this promised land, which other nations have been able to achieve within a generation or two for their people, but which continues to elude many African nations, sadly, although we sit on arguably the richest continent of the world. So when we come back to the issue of the security, the specific issue of the security agencies, they are part of the governance process, and we cannot do away with our security agencies. So the conversation now should be, obviously, there is a certain historical antecedent from the way that our security agencies emerged. The Ghana Police Service, for instance, for so many years up to date, had a certain colonial outlook because of their history. Same with these security agencies, especially national security, which was a very fearful citizens had a certain fearful perception about national security. Even in the past, you will not even know who a national security operative is. But now they would openly and confidently let you know who they are because of this show of power and bravado. So it is time really that we extend the demands we have made on the Ghana Police, for instance, to reform itself into a truly 21st century police service. To the other security agencies, we haven't really put the spotlight on these institutions. And when there are breaches, they can be most fatal in their show of force, as we have seen. So I think the conversation now should be, what next? What kinds of conversations should we have about security sector reforms, which really is even an ECOWAS conversation. And there's been several meetings that have developed frameworks for individual countries. And Ghana, we are always first to ratify some of these conventions and agreements and pledge that we would come and implement. We have all these beautiful plans about, reforming, but the necessary knowledge, attitude, and skills is really not seeping down. So number one, the security sector agencies themselves need to commit to these reforms, because moving into the future, we cannot have a security force that feels itself above the law, that feels that it is clothed with such enormous powers as to do as it wishes to anyone, for that matter, including journalists. Really, as we have seen, the abuses transcend journalists to even normal citizens. The Constitution says rule of law, and it exists for a reason, because we are not a banana republic. We do not want chaos. When there's no order, chaos prevails. So those that are at the helm of affairs in ensuring peace and security within shouldn't become proponents of things that can cause chaos. So the reform agenda must become high on the agenda for us as media people, pushing the conversation, requesting and demanding these reforms, that these security agencies rid themselves of this colonial mindset and embrace modern, proactive, and responsive, security. What do you call it? How do I even explain it? Protection of our nation. And so we have to begin the conversation about increasing the awareness and knowledge of even us as media people to understand what the mandates of the agencies are. Two, looking at the skills required. So again, the recruitment into these security agencies. And we know how increasingly militarized many African states, including Ghana, is because of the proliferation of what we call the private militia. So these private militias are developing all around the continent, and sometimes they are not properly trained. And then they find themselves through political party organization and the roles that they have performed for these political parties into the normal security setup, sometimes with very rotten attitudes, with very low skills, because it's buga buga for many of these people. And there's no real proper training and retraining of the mindset. Because if you're going to recruit party foot soldiers into a formalized structure which is supposed to be disciplined, you have to do the unlearning process and teach them a new and a better approach to understand security so that they are able to perform the role better. What we have seen is disappointing. It should not continue to happen. The security agencies are not to lord it over us, the people, from whom they receive our sovereignty. Do you get my point? And so I think that is where the conversation really now should be hitting. What are the reforms? How are we monitoring the implementation of the reforms? And how are we dealing with breaches by individuals, not reassigning them and giving them promotion? That doesn't augur well at all for us as a nation.
Speaking of reforms, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, Evans. Speaking of reforms, largely due to the coverage that we gave to the issues arising from Caleb Kuda's experiences, for the first time in as long as I can remember, because I can't think of another example of it, but for the first time, national security issued a statement to explain their activities and actions that they're taking, as a result. They talked about how they had ended the secondment of at least 4 operatives and sent them back to their mother institutions. If you ask me, I can't remember another time when such a thing has happened. Would you say that this suggests that national security is indeed ripe for reform? Are we seeing a new face of an institution that is willing to respond to public opinions? Evans, I think we might have to. Yeah, there you go.
It's only a first, I guess. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, we can. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Sure, Evans. I think there's a bit of a delay, but just go ahead.
Okay. I'm saying that for me, it's just a first step. I think it's just a first step. Whatever has happened so far is just a first step that we've begun to take. We're just scratched the surface of this monster, which needs a more concerted, approach, a more holistic strategy to dealing with. And what breaks my heart is the solutions are known. In fact, we spend quite a bit of the taxpayers' money to form the Commission of Inquiry. And people like myself, Dr. Kwesi Yenin and others, spend time, precious time, to appear before the commission and testify, because we believe that out of that process will come solutions to this problem that we are dealing with. It is just unfortunate that years on after that episode, after we spent all the time, all the money, all the resources, and assembled the great minds, Emil Short, Henrietta Mensah Bonsu, and others who sat on this, that we haven't begun to actually implement the recommendations in the report. Now, the tragedy really is that even for the aspects of the Emil Short Commission's report that the government white paper accepted, they have failed to implement. I mean, one of the, I guess, positive outcomes out of the tragedy of Caleb Kuda's assault is the fact that it exposed the continued employment of Mr. Azugu and its maintenance at the National Security Secretariat, when indeed the white paper had accepted that he should be transferred or returned to the police service for the IGP to reassign him. It took the assault of Caleb Kuda for all of us to come to the realization that even that recommendation that government accepted, government had failed to implement. That is a real tragedy. It's as if the entire government was just, it was just a waste of everybody's time, really. That they had no intention whatsoever of doing anything about the problem, and they just set up the commission to simply have a smoke screen, pretending that we want to do something about it because of the backlash that they got from Ayawaso and they didn't want to do anything about it. And for me, that is a great tragedy out of this, that the solutions are there, we know them, we have spent taxpayers' money, resources, time to do it, and we are not implementing it. If only we were committed to it, we won't have this problem. But the bigger problem for us, really, and I've heard experts in this field talk about this, that if we don't do anything about this national security monster, it's not only going to consume us, the citizens, it's going to start consuming those who created the monster. And I have a conversation with a very prominent political figure in this country who told me that because of, and this was at the height of the vigilante conversation, that he himself, as a senior member of a political party, is afraid of their own vigilante group that they've created, that they seem to be turning on them, that he walks with fear. That is what is eventually going to happen. And aren't we seeing already that these vigilante groups can storm the offices of people that they deem to be party folks who aren't helping their cause, forcibly removing them from office? These people can do same to the National Security Minister. You know, I mean, it's just baffling that we are sitting on this time bomb when the solution stares us in the face and we aren't doing anything about it.
Now, Obi, I'm thinking of how the discourse ensued following Caleb Kuda's issue, following DCOP Opari's issue, and even the recent raid on that casino. So after Caleb's assault and battery, we saw on social media those who sought to defend the system talking about how we need to condemn Caleb Kuda for what national security described as acting unlawfully, gaining access to the premises by false pretenses. And then after DCOP Opare's manhandling at the hands of national security operatives, again we heard those defending the state saying that, well, he was asked to leave his office. He didn't leave his office, so he must also be condemned for, not doing the right thing. After the raid, similarly, we were told that these people were galamseyers. They were doing the wrong thing. They must also be condemned. Do you see a situation where perhaps in a bid to defend the actions of national security, we are blaming the victim? Or is it actually fair? Should we actually balance this and say that, look, if a journalist does the wrong thing, then they deserve the consequences, even if the consequences are assault and battery?
If a journalist does the wrong thing, that journalist would have to be condemned. I mean, the consequence of that should not be assault or battery. And I think our laws are clear on what should happen in the event that anybody falls foul of that law. And that's why I think that in our advocacy as journalists, and here I would speak to the Ghana Journalists Association, that we might sometimes take our advocacy from radio, television, and sometimes into the law courts. So I'll give an example. There is a High Court ruling that says, in the interest of the public, and this I think is the Efia Pokua and others versus the National Health Insurance Authority, that in the interest of the public, journalists can use subterfuge to get information in the interest of the public. But that is a High Court ruling. And a ruling of a High Court is not binding on another High Court properly so constituted.
Right.
So I think for some of these things that has more like far-reaching consequences on how we do our job, I would love for the GJ to take on some of these issues as far as the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court rules, and it's binding on all courts, all lower courts. And I think that is the level we should get to. So we are clear in our mind. Because, for example, if you say the national security premises are no-go areas for journalists, what if a journalist, following the interest of the nation, would want to do something at the national security premises? How would the journalist go about his job? And I think we need to go a step further to get the Supreme Court to rule on some of these things so everybody is clear going forward. And that will be my point on that. So the GJA, yes, beyond the statement, the issue, and I think the statement was fantastic. I mean, Giba, Prank Park, and the GJA had raised similar issues. So one, the need for the Ministry of National Security to be restructured, the need to reorient the mind of national security operatives, to institute professional recruitment policies to ensure that the ministry recruits the right caliber of professionals. And I think there is no debate about this. Every Ghanaian would want to see some of these things happening, including the national security itself, And I think the CDD also followed up with another statement that the actions of the national security team are not healthy for the security of the country. They went further to call on government to implement the recommendations of the Emil Short Commission of Inquiry. And it's baffling, as Evans said, to see that even now, as we speak, some of the very critical recommendations, some of which the government white paper agreed to, have not been implemented. And I think it's really the lowest point in this whole conversation. And I think it behoves government to put their money where their mouth is, to implement some of these far-reaching recommendations that would see a situation where we will not be having some of these discussions. And on the bit about the National Security Ministry issuing a statement in an unprecedented manner. Joe, I mean, let's face it. That is why the National Security Ministry was created. It was created so we have an interface of a sort, a civilian interface in quote, between the national security establishment and the public. So now we have a ministry where we have civilians working in there, and we expect the ministry to have that cordial relationship with the media. So some of these releases are forthcoming. So the public is not left in the dark. And it's not as if the national security is a holy grail. It's something we cannot talk about and all of that. And I think that is where we should get to. But I would end by calling on the GJA to take our advocacy a step further. Because, Kojo, now we are all left in the dark. I mean, the issues would happen. There would be an assault. There would be a battery. We talk about it. We all go to sleep. Today, let another journalist go close to the premises of national security. That journalist is most likely going to be assaulted. Even if it doesn't get to the level of a battery, that journalist is most likely going to be assaulted. So we come back to ground zero. And I think that's why we all have to be clear. So we know what we are supposed to do and what we are supposed not to do. It doesn't have to end with a high court decision. We should go further to the Supreme Court so everybody is clear in their mind that journalists can go here in the interest of the public. We can do A, we can do B in the interest of the public. So I think the GJA would have to take on that fight.
Right. So, Winston, Shamima says we need reform. Evans talks about the opportunities that we've missed to change things. And Obi talks about how perhaps even journalists need to be filling in the gap by insisting on our rights when things go wrong. But guess what? There's an article on graphic.com dated March 19, 2019. The headline is Police Military Brutalities on Journalists. No prosecutions since 2006. Now, I mean, since 2019 till now, I don't know if there have been any prosecutions since. So basically, we are bringing in foot soldiers, we call them tabletop operatives, into this group. They are allowed to do whatever they like, and it is guaranteed that they will get away with it. But we're calling for reform. Is there even a motivation for national security to reform itself when they can get away with so much?
Well, there is now, because we've seen the situation where the whole country, majority of us are calling on the national security to say, you are not doing the right things. Look, we know the functions of the national security. It's an intelligence gathering institution. And it's the reason the president is the chairman of the National Security Council. You need to get that. It's an intelligence gathering institution. Okay. Now, if you are gathering intelligence, you do not need persons who work in this country telling everybody I'm a national security operative to gather intelligence for you. These are guys who are working everywhere, telling the whole world, oh, we mean national security. We've talked about the force that a national security has.
With their GOTA on.
With their GOTA on. And these persons clearly are not gathering intelligence, so we don't need them. Look, let me tell you something. I remember one time, Kwabena Japan say that when you become president of the country, there is some energy in you every day, because he believes that when Ghanaians go to sleep, I pray for the president of the country every day. And I've prayed for every president in this country. And so, we do that because we expect the president to lead the country to that place where we all want to go. I do not think that Ghanaians would, support anybody who would want to harm the president. If you want to harm the president, harm him with your thumb. And that is why we must move away from the culture of consistently changing national security operatives. Or the moment a new government comes in, we're throwing people away to other parts as if we're punishing them. We don't need a force at the Blue Gate, as they call it. If you gather intelligence and you need anybody to effect arrest, the police is there. The police can effect that arrest for you. You don't need a force comprising party foot soldiers. We saw those guys who went to Ayawaso West Wuogon. Not all of them were policemen, at least that we know for a fact. Those who were there, tabletop operatives, if you speak to them, they tell you, oh, they may bomb pies or confirm me, na my permanent. They are not permanent national security employees. So the National Security Secretariat has an opportunity to right the wrongs of the past, dissolve the force that you have there, sack these persons who have become an albatross around your neck. I mean, they're not helping you in any way. All they are doing is going around, and some of them, unleashing violence on people. We saw what happened in Kumasi. Let's even admit that all that has been said is true. Do you engage in that kind of act, forcibly pulling someone out of office like that? Look, in the 21st century, intelligence gathering is not a show of bravado, as our national security is doing. Mr. Albert Kandapa was sent there to ensure accountability. We needed somebody to account to the people on the actions and inactions of the national security. If there's one thing he should be remembered for, it should be that during his tenure as National Security Minister, he led the reformation of the national security. What kind of institution is it that many Ghanaians are talking about the problems that exist in this institution, and it's looking like it is only the institution that does not seem to understand that it is at fault. We had a former national security operative telling us, for instance, how the operations are. An intelligence gathering institution can invite you, Kojo Yankson, can invite me, Winston Amwa. When I get there, they can tell you, oh, Winston, you said this and that. Can you share, evidence with us? We need it because the country should be safe. You would share that evidence knowing that these are professionals who are trained to keep secrets and not persons who are party fool soldiers who think that their existence depends on the terror they unleash on others. We cannot run a modern democracy like that. So I'll end on this note. The national security minister must lead his reform, this reform. If he cannot lead the reform, look, the president has the power to move people away from office when he's clear in his mind that the people cannot do it. So if the reform needed at the National Security Ministry and Secretariat cannot be championed by Albert Kandapa, the president should do the country the honor by firing him or moving him to a place where he can lead reforms. And certainly not the national security, which it's becoming obvious, reforms are needed.
Yeah, but Winston, the question then would be that is the National Security Council itself in sync with the calls for reform? Because mind you, as you rightly said, that council is chaired by His Excellency the President. And the council works more like a board of governors, so they would have to issue the policy directives and then the management would implement same. So is the council for the reforms we speak about? Because the Emil Short Commission report was clear in one of their recommendations for the SWAT team. And the SWAT is a unit at the Ghana Police Service, which is attached to the national security, for that team to be disbanded. And we are seeing now that the team is still in full operation. Why? Is the National Security Council not aware? Or is it the case that they don't agree? Because I think the white paper agreed on same. So why is that unit still in operation? And as we speak, a friend of mine just sent a message, and he is a former military officer, and he makes the point that the whole issue is the security system and training should start giving formal and legal education to the security operatives. They are not educated, and the system won't educate them. Just 3 weeks training in weapon handling, and they are qualified to work as officers. So there should be investment in human capital. Even us here debating now, they still feel what they did to Caleb right. They don't even know the law that they can refinement of
Right. I think we've got a bit of interference there, a bit of an echo, but we got the point, the general point that Obi was making.
I just want to chip in something based on what Obi has said. So, Obi, now, the president, just this week, has been condemning attacks on journalists He says any form of attack on journalists must be condemned and not condoned in this country. That president cannot support the existence of a body that is unleashing violence on Ghanaians. That president who touts his human rights record on all the things he's done in this country, that president cannot be the president that will superintend over a national security that is unleashing violence. So I am convinced, based on all President Akufo-Addo has said, that he does not support what is happening, unless anybody can prove to me that the president just said these and did not mean them. I do not think the president is that kind of a president. And you've talked about the white paper. So it is obvious when the government, for instance, said, okay, so you're going to defer this to the IGP. That's partial acceptance, for instance, of the white paper recommendation. We're taking information that Azuku is being transferred. But the point is, if you were deferring that to the IGP, partially, accepting the recommendation of the Justice Emil Short Commission of Inquiry, it tells you that, significant reforms are needed, Obi. So I'm convinced in my mind, unless it can be proven to me that the president supports violence, I do not think that he supports what is happening at the national security.
Well, there are some who might say don't speak too soon, because indeed the president has talked about supporting, for example, the burning of excavators when people are caught doing illegal mining before they are tried in courts, and in spite of what the law says must happen. So it will be interesting to hear the president himself, speak about what he thinks should be happening at national security, because we may assume and be proved wrong. Okay, Obi, we'll come back to this in a moment. Okay. Time is not our friend, I'm afraid. And there are two important things I need to state. The first one is about having a standing force at national security. I spoke to someone very high up at the National Security Ministry who gave some reasons why they find it easier to have a standing force. It has to do with response to certain national security emergencies. And he said that it is far easier to have a standing force than to make use of police when you have to rush and respond to certain things. That was the reason given by this individual who was explaining to me why they are there. Now, the second thing, quickly before we take a break, I think we are developing a culture in Ghana of blaming the victim. We do it with rape cases. Somebody is raped and we're asking, what was she doing there? Why was she dressed like that? Did she go into his room willingly? As if these things would justify rape. We do it with these incidents as well. The police beats up a suspect and we say, he was caught, on the scene, or he was. So we think that it is right to actually abuse a person because they are suspected of doing a wrong thing. Okay, with Galamsey excavators, I just mentioned that. Are we saying that the courts are useless? Because it's the court that's supposed to determine guilt and punishment. And so if we are saying that a journalist who went to national security to take pictures deserves to be beaten because journalists are not above the law, then let me say this categorically. Journalists are not above the law, but we are definitely above assault. Every citizen is above assault.
Sure.
All right. So listen, please join us on Facebook and YouTube. We are live and we're having an editors forum on the Super Morning Show. Just look for Joy 99.7 FM on Facebook. When we come back, you hear from Evans, you hear from Shamima, you hear from Obi, you hear from Winston on Free SHS and the feedback given to government.
Just like moms know what to do in every situation, you can trust Fortune Rice for all your rice meals. It needs just a little water. The grains don't stick and the aroma and taste are delicious.
Fortune Rice is all we need, just like mom.
Fortune Rice, always on point, just like mom. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Read the information on the gas cylinder to be informed of proper care. Always store gas cylinders upright on a stable platform with a valve on top. Keep Keep cylinder installed at ground level. LPG cylinders should be handled with care. Do not roll or drag a gas cylinder on the floor. This can cause an explosion. Stored cylinders should be in a well-ventilated area and kept at a safe distance. Gas cylinders should be transported in an upright position and secured firmly. A message from the National Petroleum Authority.
Use it safely and petroleum gas. Use it safely and wisely.
I love watching football. Sometimes me and my friends will be watching on our neighbor's TV and we'll drink beer from a very cool fridge. But this time around, I'm buying my own. Thank you to Kwame for doing everything.
Don't thank me. It's been football season, and all thanks go to Electroland because it's a promo from Toshiba, Media, Nasco, Samsung. Walk into Electroland and buy what you need at a great discount. Grab your Nasco 43-inch full HD TV for 1,399 Ghana cedis plus 2 months of free subscription on your HD decoder. Top mount fridges starting from 2,499 Ghana cedis. Washing machine, all types of split AC, Nasco UHD Smart Flat, audio karaoke, mini, all types of refrigerators, microwave solo, different types of correct washing machines, many more. What more can I say? It's football season and Electroland is reaching to you. Feel it. Oh, hey, go!
Hello, Ache. Hey, you missed though. Abi, I told you. George. Damn, catch some. Filikadochi. What happened? So he was talking to the woman at the back.
Hello, Amma. Hello.
If you want to start with laughter, love, and all the drama in between, catch Banks Chronicles on Roger Channel 118. After all, it's our story on GoTV. Get your GoTV decoder today at 109 Ghana Cedi for the best of your original dramas, telenovelas, and sports. Connect via my GoTV app or any accredited dealer near you. T's and C's apply. GoTV. Love it.
Your office they shine, oh.
Yes, so I tell you, say for proper and modern ceiling solutions, the answer be Interface Limited. Them get in stock acoustic ceilings where you go fit make your office fine like my own.
Or even better pass your own self.
We can better pass my own.
Shall I go Interface right now?
Interface Limited is the leading supplier and installer of finishing input materials for the building and construction industry in Ghana. Call us on 0274 999999 or visit our website at
www.interfacelimited.net. Facebook, Interface Limited GH. Instagram, interface.limited.
Yeah, you see.
Coffee in your cup. Enjoy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best bet on Joy 99.7 FM.
Yes, if I go back to JSS.
You're welcome back. It's the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. It's our editors forum on this first Friday of the month of June. May was an eventful month indeed, and I want you to join us. Go to Facebook, look for Joy 99.7 FM, and watch us live in our brand new state-of-the-art studio as Winston and I engage Shamima Muslim, Obi, Philip Osebunsu, of course, and Evans Mensah. We're having a big editors forum talking about the big events that occurred in the month of May. And before we go back to them, are you worried about coronavirus? Well, Absa Bank cares about your safety, so use the Absa digital channels for your safe and convenient banking. Make instant money transfers, mobile money transfers, pay bills, buy airtime, make ATM cash deposits, make payments with your Absa vertical card. Absa cares about you, so please remember to sanitize your hands before and after the use of any e-banking device. That is Africanacity. That is Absa.
Well, so being successful during tough times is a big deal. We all know buying a car is another big deal. But buying a brand new car at a heavily discounted price at this time of the year is a big deal. Premium Motors Limited, sole authorized partner of Renault in Ghana, presents the Renault Big Deal. Introducing heavy discounts on your favorite Renault Kwid, Duster, Megane and Kadjar for you to commemorate Renault's global launch of its new emblem. Renault Kwid is discounted from $11,000 to $9,200, Duster from $21,500 to a cool $18,500, and Megane, the premium sedan, from $25,500 to $22,500. and the Renault Kaja SUV from 35,500 to 31,500. With good fuel consumption and exciting safety and entertainment features, the Kwid, Duster, Megane, and Kaja are just what you need. Rush now to the Renault showroom at Atiko Junction on Kaneshi-Odoko Road or call 0559586412 for more details. Offer is valid until the 10th of June 2021. Terms and conditions apply. Renault, passion for life.
Right now, Adansi Travels invites you for a once-in-a-lifetime experience to travel with the rock star, Kwame Eugene, to Dubai. Churchill, you are going there.
I'm on.
It's going to be an unforgettable holiday starting August 8th. You have the opportunity to join the stress-free trip to Dubai for 8 days full of fun and exciting activities. To celebrate their 8th anniversary with you, Adansi have hugely discounted this Power of 8 package to only 8,000 Ghana cedis per person. You don't need to worry about your visa or hotel or flight. It's all covered in the cost. So just make a small deposit of 800 Ghana cedis and Team Adansi will make your Dubai dream a reality. Their free COVID-19 safety kits and COVID-19 travel insurance will ensure that you make this trip safely with peace of mind. Go to adansitravels.com for package details and bookings. Call them on 059 5500 817 or try 055 631 0404. And make your bookings. Don't miss this opportunity to enjoy Dubai with Kwame Eugene. Book now.
Great. And Kingdom Books and Stationery, your trusted partner, is just taking delivery of high-quality medical-grade infrared thermometer temperature gun for sale to the public. And the features include precise non-contact measurements, automatic data holder, auto power-off backlight, LCD display, set alarm value, and many more. For bulk purchase, contact Kingdom Books and Stationery on 0501 401050 or 0244 311955. You can also walk into any of our shops located across the country or visit our head office located at Osu Ako Ejay Junction.
Okay, let's get back to our editors forum with Shamima Evans and Obi. Free SHS is the flagship policy of the NPP government. For the first time in Ghana's history, basic education is free. But of course, because it's the first time, there have been some hiccups. And we took it upon ourselves to give Ghanaians the opportunity to give government feedback. These are some of the things they said.
I think this is a normal spectacle. When free SHS is mentioned, yes, you need to augment the free stuff or the provisions you give your kids. And then for the sleep on the floor, it's a normal thing. Congestion is all over. Where there is space, no beds, everything will come from Accra. So it's a common phenomenon we are facing. My colleagues will not speak because, my brother, if you are not careful, you'll be transferred, sanctioned for speaking out. That is why they wouldn't speak. I'm left with about 6 months to go. I don't fear.
And my daughter told me something before she left for school about a month ago. She said, Mommy, some of the students are lying on the floor. They sleep on the floor. I said, Jesus Christ, in this coronavirus era, cool.
Why don't government allow us to pay fees and get quality education for our children? So what has happened is this free SHS has given, especially the rural folks, whose also contribution is the one that is paying the teachers' fees and then the building the schools. Of course, agreeably, yes, the numbers have increased because those who are not getting the opportunity now have the opportunity to get into the schools.
Teachers usually have to rush through the syllabus so that because they don't know when we are going to go home. The next time the government is going to announce that we have to go home. So they have to rush through the syllabus. It's not a beautiful experience. In my dormitory, for instance, we have 4 beds. It's not a very big room. We have small beds. We have 4 beds on each side, so we have 8 beds. But some of the beds are broken, so I don't have someone sleeping next to me. I don't worry about the social distancing because I don't have someone sleeping to me. However, I have someone sleeping on top of me, and we're about 15 students in a dorm. I don't know if I did my math right. Like We're about 15 students in a dorm.
Yeah, so these are some of the things that we were told by you when we asked you for feedback for the government. Well, this is how the government responded to feedback. Let's start with the Minister for Education, Dr. Yao Edichum.
But could it be true that the food may not be good in some schools? Could it be true?
Definitely. We all have gone to senior high school. There are some people who come from homes that they don't like the school food, though.
No, what she's talking about is not just that. It's very poorly cooked food.
I mean, I will not sit here and say it never happened. I can't say that. But what I know is that matrons do a good job. However, depending upon the home that you are coming from, there are some school food that you may not like. I mean, I came from a village. Every food they gave to me was like the best I've ever seen. And I'll eat everything. I know there are some girls who did not even show up in the dining hall because they didn't like the food. Yes, of course, there are times when the food may not be cooked well. It has happened a few times in our schools. We all have gone to school. But I remember the girls who say, oh, when they do jollof, it's good.
Yeah, she said that, yes.
Yeah, she said. Now, when they do jollof, it's good. So, yes, school food sometimes may not be to the taste that we want. But I don't believe that we have matrons who intentionally, consistently cook some bad food for kids.
Yep, so that was the Education Minister. He spoke on Good Evening Ghana to Paul Adom Ochre. He wasn't the only member of government who responded. The president himself took a moment during his acceptance speech of a doctorate degree in the University of Cape Coast to say this.
I believe this has led to a new definition of a culture of silence. It goes along the line that when people in government and all government policies are criticized, and there is a defense of the people of policies, it is intimidatory and leads to a culture of silence. A radio station is currently running a campaign against free SHS. During the last election, I got the clear impression free SHS had been endorsed by all political parties, and all we needed to do was to keep improving it.
You're listening to a radio station called Joy 99.7 FM. And of course, we're having an editors forum on the Super Morning Show. So, free SHS. I think I'll start with Evans on this one. So, the president, not so long ago, actually, a few days ago, speaking to the press, said that we should not see criticism as an attack. That's what the president said to the media. The media should not see criticism as an attack. But he considered the criticism that was given to free SHS as an attack. Can we hope for any improvement if the implementers of the policy do not think that it should be criticized?
I mean, I think the president's comments were just unfortunate, I must say, because and you put it right. I mean, the principle that he establishes when he talks about a redefinition of the culture of silence is a principle that was actually being applied, that he describes as also, I must say, miscategorized as a campaign against free SHS. It was simply a criticism. It wasn't a campaign against. It was a criticism, not from us. I don't even think it's a criticism. It's a lesser version of that. It's a better version of criticism. It was feedback. Feedback that they got from us. And I just, in the clips you played though, I mean, again, not to empower the president even more, though he was wrong. On that show was the deputy GES director who came on Friday to respond to everything that's happened in the course of the week. So I wish that you would have played our own clip as well. I mean, just to illustrate that this wasn't done with the exclusion, deliberate exclusion of those in charge of implementing free SHS, and that they were given an opportunity. They had a whole day, a whole show actually, to respond to everything that's happened. That is proper criticism, and that is proper journalism from what I know of. And so the president completely miscategorized what happened. And it's unfortunate that he did so. Also because in any country, in any of the countries that we respect, that did well in education, they introduced these policies. From the onset, I must say, 2 of my brothers are beneficiaries of free SHS. One of them is out of school now, the other is in SHS, and I know this is a fantastic policy. In fact, in my books, it is the most important, most impactful game changer social intervention policy ever introduced since the National Health Insurance Policy was introduced. Those 2 are top of my books, right? And so the free SHS, so the president must take credit for pushing this through in spite of all the internal criticism that he had, people telling him, you can't do it, we won't find the money. He takes absolute 100% credit for doing free SHS. So people like me and my siblings can enjoy it. But when you introduce a policy such as that with so much impact, on the back of which I believe you won the elections in 2020, after 4 years, you need to do a proper evaluation of the entire implementation, especially when your mandate has been reviewed and you have 4 years to exit. Do a proper evaluation. Speak to people. Listen, there is SEND Foundation. They did a proper survey on this. Talk to people across the country. They had great feedback on that. People didn't like the double track. The government, I'm not aware that the government has commissioned any proper evaluation, any proper top to bottom audit of the free SHS. And the radio station commits in 1 week to do that for you free of charge. And you describe it as a campaign against. I thought that was unfortunate. If anything at all, it should rather kickstart a conversation in the education ministry. And by the way, Ibuchum is still my favorite minister. It should seize the opportunity to commission a proper. If he disagrees with the feedback that he got, he should spend part of his money this year to commission a proper scientific evaluation of free SHS. And then on the back of that, because if he commissions, you will trust it, a reputable agency does it, implement the recommendations as to how do you make this even better than it is.
Right. Oh, goodness. Time is running. Shamima, let's hear from you.
Well, can you hear me, please?
Oh, yes, we can hear you.
I think Evans has really hit on the nail on the head. I think that we are all generally in agreement that free senior high school is the most important social intervention yet. And I think, again, if you make reference to the Constitution under the educational objectives on the directive principles of state policy, the Constitution did envisage a stage where secondary education as well as university and other education would be made progressively free. So within our lifetime that we have seen it, it's a very commendable intervention. And as a young lady, Muslim girl, knowing the situation in many of our Zongo communities, coming from the Upper West region, the Northern region, knowing the level of deprivation and the fact that education remains one of the most important levelers that can pull entire families out of, abject poverty. Nobody can sit back and criticize such a policy as being unimportant. I think that when we make decisions, there are levels of decision making. You identify a problem, you make a decision that you're going to address this particular challenge, and you gather the necessary information as we have seen regarding the performance and the importance of education, the alternatives, you weigh your evidence, and you choose your set of alternatives, and then you review your decision. So like Evans is saying, this policy has been implemented for over the past 4 years. Obviously, in every project, whether corporate, whether civil society, monitoring and evaluation is a key component of any project management process. So once you monitor and evaluate, you begin to see the shortfalls. You see, nobody would take away from President Akufo-Addo that he implemented free senior high school education. So if at the middle of it, the review now suggests that we need to do something different in addition to how we are implementing it. Free doesn't have to mean completely free for all manner of persons, including those who have the ability to pay. And I think that if we had unlimited amount of resources, there was going to be no problem. You will build the infrastructure, you will pay the schools, they will get their monies and their stipends to buy their food stuff. You cook good food, nobody would have a problem. We have a problem because we have limited resources. And so sometimes you cannot punch above your weight or live beyond your means. And so we must come back to the table and do the realistic review and assessment of where we are going with free senior high school. Not to say that whatever alternative we go should mean letting other people follow, because whose child shouldn't get an education? All children of Ghana should get an education. But how do we implement it in a way that those who really do not need the government subvention do not get the government subvention? So the money would go into the most important, sectors, or to support those who actually need it. If parents are saying PTA, you have virtually immobilized PTA in schools. There are strong schools with strong PTAs who have the wherewithal to mobilize resources to support their school. Give them a certain level of autonomy to be able, in agreement with parents and teachers, to be able to execute certain parts of this project in a way that will make it easier for them. And also the decentralization. I mean, one of the head teachers is saying that why should they wait for the center to the procurement politics? You see, there's always a political interest in some of these things. Always a political interest. If we're able to reduce the political interest and let things work the way they're supposed, because if you are sourcing for food locally, the local markets are the easiest place to get cheaper food. You have a school feeding program. Why are they sourcing the food? Why must the center be the one to send simple grains to some of these schools which are living in farming communities? So you see, if we are willing and able to really be objective, nobody is going to take the shine away from your policy. But it is time to get back to the books and see how else can we improve on this free senior high school policy in order to make it sustainable, but also not to fall short on quality and safety for the children who are in the care of the schools on behalf of government.
Thank you, Shamima. Obi, do we have Obi?
Kojo.
Oh, there you are. Yeah. Your take on this, how this free SHS feedback session has gone and how it's been received.
Yeah, Kojo, because of time, I would make some very quick points. Number one is that we all agree that free senior high school is a good policy. Yeah. I grew up in Elubo. I have friends who, after junior high school, couldn't further the education to the senior high school because of money. And those were very sharp guys, growing up in Elubo. So we know the impact of free senior high school. It's a good policy, and we all agree on that. We also all agree that not all the challenges bedeviling our secondary education are attributable directly to free senior high school. That's also a fact, because I completed St. John's School in 2001. I remember we had to demonstrate at a point because of lack of potable water in the school. Sometimes people complain about their food, about sleeping places and all of that. So yes, not all challenges with our senior high school education is directly attributable to free senior high school. But we also know that free SHS, because of the sheer numbers, might have aggravated some of the challenges in our senior high schools, and we have to admit that and find solutions to them. One other thing is also that and I made this point on PM Express last Tuesday, that maybe, just maybe, the president's speechwriters would have to watch when putting together some of his speeches, because I think, one, there should even be a conversation around whether the platform he chose to hit back at the media on was the right platform. That's a conversation for another day. And also the fact that what Joy FM did on the Super Morning Show was a campaign against free senior high school. I think it's a misreading of the work of the media, because yes, the constitutional injunction is clear that the editorial discretion of media houses should not be controlled by government and government agencies. And also, if a story is done on any government agency, it behoves on the media to publish a rejoinder from that particular agency. And as Evan said, on Friday, the Deputy Director General of the GES was on the show. And I remember the GS director himself was on my show to respond to some of the issues. So the media was clear that this was not an agenda. It was something we thought we need to do. Of course, there are issues around whether the people who spoke under condition of anonymity helped, in the proper diagnosis of the challenge, and when they want to respond, which schools they are going to, which individuals they are contacting. But I think the issues raised by the people who spoke on the Super Morning Show is just symptomatic of a bigger problem. And when we put our minds to it, we'll be able to resolve same. I'll make this last point on in talking about review and in looking at reviewing the free senior high school policy, whether it should be a policy that benefits some people and not some others. So the point about those who have the ability to pay should be able to pay. Kojo, I think that argument is made against the backdrop that government finances are tight and that there is pressure on government finances and all of that to sustain the free senior high school. I beg to differ. Apart from the fact that government itself has not made that admission, I also think we've been told that majority of the resources for free senior high school is from our oil proceeds. Kojo, in the past 10 years, what Ghana has gotten from our commercial oil production is $6.5 billion.
Right.
$6.5 billion. Can we point to anything monumental we've been able to do with this money? Anything monumental. In fact, when you read the latest PIAC report, the PIAC report will tell you that the only significant project that, apart from free SHS, the only significant project that we can point to is the $30 million of oil money that was used to support the construction of Terminal 3 at the Kotoka International Airport. And we're talking $6.5 billion. How much have we spent on free SHS in the last 4 or 5 years? I don't think it's up to $2 billion.
Yeah.
So the impression should not be created that government finances are tight when we all agree that this is a good policy. Government should find money and do it because we operate a progressive tax system. If I earn more, I pay more taxes. So if I'm paying more taxes and I'm then told that because of my income levels, I should not benefit from such a government policy, we should benefit every Ghanaian. I don't think it's fair to me.
Obi, forgive me. Yeah, forgive me, Obi, but I have to cut in there. You have made your point, though, quite clearly. Winston, quickly.
Yes, I was just going to make a sentence contribution, but because of what Obi and others have, let me just chip this in. Look, when it comes to the implementation of free SHS policy, I have seen communications on the Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools executive complaining about the problems they are going through. I have checked with some of the regions and they tell you, well, we have these challenges. We cannot speak direct oil challenges to Accra. So when it gets to that particular situation, we know these are things that are happening on the ground. I will end on this note. An unexamined life is not worth living.
Ayo. All right. Guys, thank you so much for this. Stay with us, though, because we're going to hear from you. We're going to open the lines and hear your thoughts on what you've heard from our editors today. Quickly, though, happy birthday to Jennifer Nyampong in Ekuapim. This is from Ifo Tom Brown, who tweets at Ice Tom Brown. So please stay tuned. When we come back, we'll hear from you on the Super Morning Show.
What would you do if you have the choice to do anything in life? Build your dream house, take very good care of your family, and plan for a comfortable retirement. Plan a befitting funeral for your loved ones when they depart. How would you live if you knew there was a friend waiting to support you on all of your life's choices.
You have such a friend in Glyco Life Insurance. Glyco Life has all the plans to meet your life's needs. Your child's education, your life savings, your mortgage, funerals, redundancy, and your retirement, and takes the burden off your shoulders. So go ahead and live life to the fullest today with Glyco Life Insurance plans. And remember that all our policies are hedged against inflation. Talk to Glyco Life on 0302 218 500 or 246 142. Also visit our website at www.glycolife.com or any of our branches nationwide for more information.
Glycolife, we cushion you for life.
Glyco, we cushion you for life.
DSTV has millions of stories to inspire you for anything you do in your everyday life. Now for the best man to say a few words.
I would like to say this to the couple. Girl, I go take you to Lagos. Girl, I go take you to Ghana. Girl, I go take you to Tema.
He's been watching Aquaba Magic on DSTV. Get inspired by great local entertainment like drama, series, music channels, and so much more. Get DSTV today only from 48 Ghana cedis a month. DSTV Ghana, it's your moment.
23 minutes in the game. As you know, Samsung has a special package for you. This football season is a true pass. Oh my God, it's a goal! It's football season again, and Samsung Stadium is packed with so many giveaways. Yes, with a sham like goals. Buy your 55-inch UHD 4K smart TV at 4,499 Ghana cedis. Subscription for your HD decoder is free for 2 months. Split AC starting at 1,999 Ghana cedis. Single door fridge for 1,699 Ghana cedis. Or dual-cool top-mounted freezer starting at 2,199 Ghana cedis. Wow, the best products at the greatest discount this football season. Washing machines, microwaves, sound bars, and many more. Visit a Samsung store or authorized reseller near you now.
Samsung, our passion, our game.
We know the dream is big. We know the passion gets you going. And you have the potential to make great strides. The Chartered Institute of Marketing, Ghana, has always been an avid supporter of industry excellence and innovation. This is why we are excited to announce the CIMG Professional Marketing Qualifications. CIMG has designed practical courses to help you make that dream a reality right here in Ghana. We are geared up and ready to support you on this journey to becoming a world-class professional marketer. Register today and be on your way to greatness. For more information, call us on 055-274-6592. Visit our website www.cimghana.org or email us on info@cimghana.org. Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana, working for Ghana.
The Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, in partnership with KPMG and Joy Business, is organizing the Chamber CEO Business Forum under the theme Redefining Business Success, the Path for Business Value, Resilience and Sustainability. The President of the Chamber, Mr. Clement Osei Amwako, will host Mr. Kofi Frimpong Kori, Partner, KPMG, Dr. Samuel Frimpong Boateng, CEO, CITI Africa, Mr. David Ofosu-Dorte, Senior Partner, AB and David, Mr. Amberdeep Singh Harry, CEO, IPMC, Madame Salma Salifu, Managing Director, Dignity DTRT, Dr. Daniel Macaulay, CEO, Magdan Group, and Madame Theresa Yamson, CEO, Phyto Rika Gihok Pharmaceuticals Limited. The Minister of Trade and Industry, Honorable Alan Tremontaine, is the special guest of honor. The event comes off on Wednesday, 23rd June 2021 at 9 a.m. Venue is the Accra Marriott Hotel, Airport City. Participation is strictly by invitation.
Nobody knows tomorrow. I can't be living in sorrows.
and I'm like, off the future, the life is now. It's not about getting rich, but the question is how. Without Christ in my life, I'm like an empty vessel. And if the word will guide me, I don't have to wrestle. Sometimes I backslide.
Life
like
by Trigmatic. And you know, Joy Entertainment is celebrating Trigmatic today. So get to know him, listen to some of his hottest songs, and call and all our radio and TV shows today, and you can request your favorite Trigmatic song. Okay, this is what Joy Entertainment is doing. We're celebrating all musicians, celebrating our music, celebrating Trigmatic today. Music for us, by us. And listen, you can follow Joy Entertainment on all social media platforms. Joy Entertainment, we are large and in charge.
Exactly, Kujuba. Let's say a big thank you to our editors this morning. Thank you, Shamima Muslim. Thank you, Philip Osaibonsu Obi. And, of course, to you, Evans Mensah, for joining us. Unfortunately, that's what time would allow us for this conversation today.
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. God bless you. Text messages on the Super Morning Show are brought to you by Glyco Critical Illness Plan. GSIP, it's in your best interest to survive. And, of course, Glyco believes that this is a time to protect your future. Your claims are important to them, so go to their any of their offices or glycolife.com to lodge your claims. And please pay your premiums on time. If it's by Momo, it's 059-144-1473, or by ePremium for micro insurance to safeguard your policies. Call the call center on 0202 222 113 and they'll help you. You can also contact them via any of their digital channels. Glyco cares for your safety, so all offices will implement fully the COVID-19 protocols. Please practice social distancing, keep safe, and trust Glyco Life to cushion you for life.
Well, are you watching your favorite program on a flat screen HD TV? Did you know that you can get it in clearer and brighter high definition quality, which is 5 times better than standard definition? Get the new HD Plus decoder today from the nearest authorized dealer or any Electroland showroom nationwide and enjoy the feely experience on your HD TV like never before. Visit www.hd-plus.com.gh or call 0242-439872 for more details. But here are some COVID-19 prevention tips. Wash your hands frequently and carefully with soap under running water. Rewash your hands several times a day, especially after touching anything, including your phone or laptop. Use hand sanitizer when you cannot wash your hands properly. Wash fresh groceries, clean and disinfect surfaces such as countertops, door handles, furniture, toys, laptops, and mobile phones with alcohol-based disinfectants.
Right. So, by the way, guys, we are #1 on Twitter. Thank you so much for putting us there. God bless you. We wanted to take some calls, but I just realized our time is not going to permit it.
Yes.
I feel so terrible. I wanted to hear from all of you today. But thank goodness you've been tweeting.
Exactly, Kojo. So Adnyavo John says, so Ghana police did not see the mammoth gathering at Sir John's funeral, or what gathering, or that gathering won't spread COVID. Well, and then banana system you add. Akwesipon says we need to hold them to their necks for accountability. And at Big Boy Pio says clearly Sir John's funeral sends the message that those in power are above the law. And at Edem Eftikal says this should inform you that the sort of leaders we have. President will say one and then do something else. Ghana, a failed republic. And at Paka Hassan says, we have 2 Ghanas, one for we, the normal people, one for us, the normal people, and one for the big people. So they choose what to do. And at Rancho_Doctor says, government officials and its affiliate members have shown over the years that the rules and laws don't apply to them. Besides, the law enforcers are employed by them, and they do their bidding. At Doc_Lai says, leaders who don't lead by example, who set rules for everyone else to follow while ignoring set rules themselves, who abuse their position and place themselves above the law, they would strongly punish you and me for flouting. What an embarrassment. What a disgrace. And Daladem says, the Form 2 Go Track students spent 78 days in school but will stay home for 93 days holidaying till 30th August. And Richard Donko says, I don't see any big deal about free SHS. I don't see any innovation about this intervention. It's just sad that our scholarship system doesn't favor the less privileged in the society. Let's stop this over-exaggeration about the importance of free SHS. And Raymond Mahama says, Kojo, in Ghana, the so-called rich and so-called powerful in society are above the law, but the poor and vulnerable are always the ones who suffer in the application of the law. God is watching.
Well, watching us all. And listen, as we head into a weekend, I want to say a big thank you to all of you for listening to us on the Super Morning Show all week. It's been the singular pleasure of our day, every day, to bring you this show. Coming up is the 10 o'clock bulletin. Doreen Ando will bring you Cosmopolitan Mix after that. And of course, your favorite shows continue to roll out on this station for the full duration. Stay with us. And of course, we're celebrating Trigmatic today. Here's my favorite Trigmatic song, and I'll leave you with it. It's featuring AI, one of my favorite artists. He calls this one Motro Mojo. Thank you and goodbye. My name is Kojo Yankson.
And my name is Winston. But before I go, this is just something from Nana Nsakwa always says, we have to be concerned as a nation and start putting things in place to secure our future.
Thank you. Thank you so much for making us number one. God bless you. We're out.
Trigmatic on this one, though. On TV. Alright, listen, when you first survive like a transformer, or they want something I'm like an informer. That's it, what here, what more, no, what my format. What drama, you know, the cool match, you understand, Kunko, and then one shit, I didn't see what you hypocritical industry players hoping to ridicule you.